now we get charging curves. How sick is this? A presentation built for out of spec right here.
I'm gonna let it rip.
Okay. You all ready?
Ready.
And go.
Well, we've done this for the Taycan and Macan Electric. It's time to do a technical deep analysis of the new Porsche Cayenne. Yes, fully electric, and we are going deep, in depth. Wireless charging, VR presentations where I'm able to show you all of the battery pack and cell information with thermal management info. We're talking super deep presentations in this upcoming video. Of course, we'll discuss the interior, and yes, we are gonna rip it on track. Amazing. Feels awesome. Porsche Active Ride gives the Cayenne an insane character, of course, letting it rip on road, but also be fairly capable off the road. In this video, we'll be discussing, yes, the capabilities of the Cayenne, but also new technologies such as wireless charging and more. So join me for a full, deep technical analysis of the brand new E4 Porsche Cayenne Electric. No way. We are wirelessly charging. It didn't get out of the car, nope. Didn't do anything.
Nope.
First time ever on this channel, ramped right up to 11 kilowatts pretty quick. Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Eaton, Ionna, InfyPower, and Nokian Tyres. This video is brought to you by Eaton. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI. This video is also brought to you by Ionna, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Ionna is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. And Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability. The latest generations of Nokian Tyres products come with the electric fit emblem that certifies they're a seamless fit for electric vehicles. And most of those all-season and all-weather tires come from Nokian Tyres' award-winning factory in the United States. Learn more at nokiantires.com/EV. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You guys joined me in Leipzig, Germany, where we've shot a couple videos here for you guys. We've been here on road trips with Taycan charging at the Porsche charging station over there. And we've also filmed, this was a while ago now, the entire technical analysis of the then new Porsche Macan Electric, which we've done so much with over the years. Well, now it's time to tell you about its big brother. This is the new E4 Porsche Cayenne. And we've already made a few videos with this car over the last few months, demonstrating some of the wireless charging topics and others with it at Goodwood and here in Leipzig. But in this video, we're gonna go on a deep technical tour. We're gonna look at battery capacity, battery design, motors, chassis topics. We're even going to be able to go off-road in the car and go for a ride, sending it around their cool little test track over here. So join me for a deep technical review of the E4 Porsche Cayenne. Well guys, here they are, the 4th generation Cayenne, the E4 electric Cayenne. Maybe I'll show you these cars over here. It wasn't long ago we were here filming the Macan technical presentation. That car has since gone on sale, and the same thing will happen with this. In just a few months, the Cayenne will be in series production, built in Hungary, and sold to the world. Now, in this video, I'm going to be basically telling you everything I like and dislike about the car, but more importantly, quantifying what is actually under the skin of this. Now, I can't actually show you what the heck it looks like yet because the world premiere of the car hasn't happened. So a huge shout out to Porsche for inviting me here to Germany to get to experience this car. So we're going to be talking about the battery pack layout, construction, cell type, cell chemistry. We will talk about the electric motors, type, performance, construction, thermal management. So much to go into this, including digital topics, interior, software tour, so much to dive into here in the new 4th generation Cayenne. This one just came back from an off-road course. We'll also take it off-roading and ripping around the Leipzig track. It's going to be a long video. I'll keep it chapterized. I'll try to keep it somewhat fun to watch, but also educational. And I can't wait to learn along with you about the new E4 Cayenne. It sounds like it is going to be the largest electric Porsche. And now there was rumors and some hope that the full-size K1 Porsche would be battery electric. And it kind of sounds like, well, that's going to be plug-in hybrid or combustion. Just the way things change, a little unfortunate, but the Cayenne is here and electric. I should also mention, if you are not ready for an electric car, don't like electric car, why would you be watching this video anyway? This probably speaks to no one. But in case you're curious, Porsche will also sell the previous generation Cayenne alongside the new generation Cayenne for at least the foreseeable future. So E3 Cayenne and E4 Cayenne will both be on sale for a while, which I think is kind of a shame, but that's just the global market conditions. And it is what it is. At least you'll be able to buy the electric one if you want it. So I would. It's super cool. We'll talk all about that and more coming up. But man, doesn't this thing just look so good? Such a cool looking car. All right, let's dig into the technical stuff. I don't know in what order everything will come, but it'll be a super nerd video. So let's freaking do it. Well, guys, before we get into the main bulk of the video, we are going to go section by section through this car. In fact, the next section will be a full interior tour discussing that new curved screen and also talking about front seat, back seat room, trunk space, etc. I want to at least tell you what the Cayenne is. Well, it's built on PPE, which is Premium Platform Electric. We know this essential architecture from the Audi Q6 e-tron, A6 e-tron, and Porsche Macan Electric here now in the biggest size that we've seen so far. And it just seems like a whole nother level from PPE. I'm honestly surprised that the PPE platform can handle all of the stuff they threw into Cayenne, because it's a whole nother level above anything we've seen before. So the battery pack's 113 kilowatt hour gross, 108 kilowatt hour usable. It's an LG NMC pouch cell pack, which is similar to Taycan being pouch cell, but this is a completely different cell with higher energy density and insane charging performance. We love charging on this channel. I'll get into it. I'm going to show you the DC fast charging curves, but this will do 400 kilowatt charging and actually just a little bit more than 400 kilowatt charging, which is insane. But we all know it's not about that peak number, it's about the curve, and it will hold over 400 kilowatt charging well above 50% state of charge. We're talking you might be able to almost touch 60% state of charge, still doing 400 kilowatts. Insanely beefy charging performance here. It's going to be crazy. On the same side of putting energy into the battery pack, 600 kilowatt regen. So when you're standing on the brake pedal, even through ABS, it can do 600 kilowatt regen. I should also mention 10 to 80%. Porsche claims 16 minutes. We've seen a YouTube video online showing it under 15 minutes. 10 to 80% charging, insane. 2 permanent magnet electric motors. There's a standard version and a top version with more to come, I assume, into the future. What's interesting, for the first time on a Porsche, they have direct oil cooling to the rear motor in the top spec model. And so that's good, but it's like other electric cars, Lucids, others have direct oil cooling. Rivian does as well. So Porsche is finally catching up there. They've always had great thermal management, but now the peak to continuous ratio of the electric motor will be awesome. This thing will be able to rip as hard as you want it to go with the motors pretty much never overheating, which will be really great. Top speed over 155 miles an hour. It's over 1,000 PS, which is 986 horsepower. So my guess is around 1,000 horsepower. And good news, it can tow 7,700 pounds. So I just threw a bunch of stuff at you. You're going to ask pricing. I don't know. Can't be cheap. With all that said, let's jump into the interior. Then we're going to go through the technical deep dives through VR, which is going to be weird and new but interesting. And somewhere in there, I'm going to throw in the wireless charging demo and the track session. There's so much to get into. Let's dive into the interior with my good friend Joel Feder from The Drive. Welcome to a secret interior lab with my buddy Joel.
What's going on, everyone?
What's your impression of the outside of the car? Obviously camoed, size. What do you think of just the Cayenne thing in general?
I actually like it. I was talking about this earlier. Actually, I think I like it. This is, of course, camoed more than the Macan EV. I think the lines flow a little better. The proportions are a little better. I like the extra length in the wheelbase. The camo does a good job of hiding some of this, but I kind of like the curvature in the doors. Really like these rear fenders. This reminds me a lot of the Cross Turismo, the wagon version of the Taycan. So I kind of like that. This is a little interesting. I'm still not sure how I just discovered.
I didn't even notice this.
So I just discovered this on the when we were outside doing some off-road, and I'm not sure if I'm in love with that part yet.
So that's the active spoiler.
Yeah, so it's you can have auto mode or you can push it up.
Okay.
So this is in pushed up mode, but in auto mode it'll come up automatically. So I really like these, the active vents. They only come out in launch control, and they come out when you're going to launch. But we learned that if you turn the car off if you put it in launch control and then you stop the car, you turn it off, they'll stay out that way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Let's run around to the front really quick just so we can show everyone up here. It definitely feels more substantial than Macan. Like it's another class of vehicle up.
Totally, and it's just wider, right? The whole front is accented by this width down here. Like it is visual width added.
Wow, you could work for Porsche. This is good.
I really like the headlights. The headlights very much some Taycan mixed with some Macan EV.
Yeah.
I like the vents.
Well, and I like that the headlights aren't a split system.
Yeah.
I think some cars look weird when you just do running lights here, like Macan, and then the main beam down there. I think this is better.
I like this better. Yep.
Totally. And so now we can kind of show the interior.
Yeah, the interior.
Should we do the back seat first? Back seat review?
Sure.
Okay, so before we do that, why don't you put the back seat as far back as you can, because it is powered, and then I will show the trunk space back here. So very fast opening rear.
I'm back as far as I can go.
So that's as far back as it can go. Dude, there's a ton of room. Like,
well, I mean, it's a significantly size class larger than the Macan.
Yeah, it's definitely big, but I also like how I can fold the seat.
I'm also reclined a little right now.
Huh. Oh, yeah. But I wonder if I'm adjusting.
No, I'm doing that.
You're doing that.
I'm doing that.
So it must know that you're there, but you can dump.
Now you do it. You're doing that.
Oh, now I've hit that one.
Yeah, you're doing that.
Very cool. So did it move the front seat forward to make room?
No.
Okay.
Yes, it did. It just moved back.
Yeah, it did.
It just moved back.
Nice. That's good integration. So now you can see it's almost a flat loading floor, but there is a little lip.
There's definitely a slope here, and it has to do with the seat bottom for sure. Because my seat bottom is contoured on the sides.
So I can hit raise, so now it's coming up.
It moves pretty quick though.
Oh yeah, that does.
It's not like Tahoe Escalade quick, but it's quick.
That's acceptable. I like how you can raise and lower the rear suspension as well for like a dog loading.
You can also do that with a Volvo XC90.
Yes, you can.
I like that.
Yep. Okay.
This is right out of a regular Cayenne.
How's the room back here? I like how you can do heated and cooled seats at the same time.
It's a very German thing.
Look, I won't buy a car unless I can do that.
Well, you're not going to buy a car that's not German.
That's true.
I like this. There's a lot of it goes long enough for my legs here.
Okay.
This is definitely,
how tall are you for the viewers?
So I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
This is absolutely what I was talking about. Why it didn't fold all the way down.
Yeah.
Right. But it's contoured. It's nice. I also asked someone earlier if all the seats are high backed sport buckets, and they said they believe they are.
Okay.
So,
interesting. But at least they have a little net down there to put some things, which is good.
Yeah.
And the roof. Does this one have the?
This one has electromagnetic. It's grayed out right here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you can basically in sections like the Taycan.
And I'm 5'10". I got what, 3 inches?
Yeah, I sat back there, was really impressed with the room. It's way bigger than Macan. Macan's
way bigger
than
a Macan.
Yeah.
This is still like right here, this door cutout when I got earlier.
Yeah.
It definitely can hit me. But like this is back here, and so like I don't think snow's gonna hit me.
No, I think you're good there. Also, shout out for the B-pillar vents and the vents down there. Yep. That's awesome. From an HVAC standpoint. I was in one earlier that didn't have this screen. It just had heated seats back there. So if you spec the 4-zone climate, then you get that screen, I guess. Cool. This is a nice back seat. Let's do
frameless.
The front. Oh yeah, double pane,
frameless.
all around, and frameless. Yep, cool. Let's jump around. Front seat review. Close the trunk. I think it opens faster than it closes.
So this is cool. They were really touting that. So this center armrest is heated.
We got a problem.
What?
The key is not correct. The top button on a Porsche key, like a 911, should be unlock. And this is front trunk.
Listen, Boomer. I would lose my key, my phone as a key. Who cares?
Oh, that's true. This does have phone as a key.
It has digital key. You're not going to use the key.
That's right.
You don't need the key. So this is heated. They told me that's kind of cool. Just
Probably optional.
Oh, come on, it's Porsche. But this moves, and then this moves. And you got, this is actively cooled, they were telling me earlier.
Yes.
And it's independent of the climate control system. So if you got heat blowing out, it still blows out cool.
Same as
That's
their other
cool.
cars. Love that.
Drops in a cup holder here that's actually reconfigurable. That's not in here right now. It's over there.
Right. Yeah, they have 2 different levels of height you can lock it in at.
Yeah.
I love how that made it in the presentation.
Yeah. 6 USBs up to 100 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 2 in the back.
Right. There's only 4 of them that are 100 watts. They didn't say what the other 2 were.
I'm guessing the ones in the back are not 100 watts.
We can test that when we get it on long.
Real buttons and knobs. You gotta love toggles.
They feel really nice.
They really feel nice. And you've got the roller.
Yep.
These are obviously touch based, but when you touch it, it's haptic, so you feel it.
Yep.
Navigation, music. It's kind of like a Rivian and a Tesla, right? So you got there's no actual manual. There's no physical control for the air vents. I know people feel mixed about that, but I don't know. This is actually really cool though because of the widgets down here.
Yeah.
So if you put CarPlay up here, you can reconfigure these, and these can be your custom widgets. They were showing me earlier. So like you can have the customized drive settings and pull up. This is a pre-production car, right? So
Maybe
this button would pull up all the safety. So you can turn off active safety. You can turn off certain things.
Yeah,
we got toggles. We got a knob, right? I love the toggle, like actual click, click, click. This is called the fairy pad, right?
Yep.
They call this the fairy pad, and your hand goes here, which is kind of nice because you got just sitting here. I don't know. OLED, not OLED. So like same resolution, not same resolution. So that's
this is a bit weird, and it's optional to get it. But then it's
the same
also
interface as this.
Yes, but then what's also weird is if you don't get this, it's just a black, straight piano black staring at you.
Don't like that.
Don't like that. But I love the curved display. We haven't even mentioned it.
I really
That's
like
sick.
this curved display. Like I really like the curved display. And like so like I'm in Bluetooth. Like whatever, you could scroll through things or whatever.
Yep.
And my hand rests here, so it's comfortable. It's low set. I mean, look, it feels and looks like Porsche. Like
I think the screen should have come up to here.
See, I actually kind of wish this just dipped down to here and I had better visibility.
Yeah, I would take that
like,
as well.
I would just drop this all right here.
But yeah, definitely the air vent. I mean, you got to make room for air vents, and it's a great angle to come at you. But yeah, this does look a little bit awkward.
I mean, you could have just put these here and then just run.
See, they should hire you.
I wasn't unemployed for like 8 weeks.
Yeah,
they had a shot. Everyone had a shot.
And then here in the center instrument cluster, this is very similar to Taycan.
Yeah.
It
feels more curved and it feels thinner almost.
Yeah, and the buttons aren't totally baked into the screen anymore. They feel like this is on a separate
They are.
panel.
This is like you can feel.
Yeah, that's right. That's the screen there.
There's
So
also
that's
a power
different.
button, and I asked them why, and they were like,
You mean like a start-stop button?
there's literally a start to turn it on and off. And there's a power button right here. I asked them about it, and they basically were like, well, some people want to be able to turn off the car. I'm like, but when you get out and you walk away with your phone, the car turns off. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, and then when I get in the car turns on. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, why do you need a power button? And they're like, I was like, do you just need to have a button over there because Porsche needs to be on the left? And like, they got really quiet. I'm like, so some boomer was going to get angry if you didn't have that.
Yeah, it's because the average age of the person who can afford this car wants a power button.
Whatever.
Lame.
Unnecessary. This isn't a fun interior. Like I rode in the one that was like the frozen berry pink.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then the one over there with the, what is it, like hem's tooth, like whatever.
the houndstooth.
The houndstooth. I love that.
We also should just say, this is the car that's here to display the interior, and they brought the most boring one.
Well, they bought the most Porsche Teutonic one. Like it is not.
The Germans love this.
This is not the Matt Farah Frozen Berry edition.
That's right. They
Which
should have
I
done.
rode in one earlier.
Oh,
with
should
the
we
Frozen
show?
Berry interior.
I'm going to show the different materials you can get
You gotta
in
show
the
me
interior
materials.
because that's pretty cool. But like you can see, there's carbon in here, and like this is all the crazy stuff. It's got the Burmester, which is going to sound pretty good. Crazy massage. It's got like wellness modes as well.
But I mean, like unlike a Silverado EV, like this stitching is all like straight.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I think the layout's perfect for everything needed here. Well, thanks, Joel. Appreciate you joining the video. That was fun. Porsche brought along a few display samples. This is the leather-free option, so it's a race text and a bit of, they call it pepita, I believe, which is similar to like a houndstooth material. Feels really nice, and it's not like imitation leather, which I actually kind of like a lot of the fake leathers that are out there. But this is a really nice leather-free option. Then, of course, you can go interesting and crazy. So different stitching colors, different center console materials, different leather, and the list goes on and on. Of course, with any Porsche, there's just a million different configurations that you can go for, so nothing's unusual here. And certainly we will all be super busy when the configurator launches online. Can't wait to play around with it so we can spec them out to insane, unrealistic numbers, but just for fun. Sometimes it's cool to see how high you can go with the pricing, which certainly will be insane. Guys, we have found ourselves a Mike Wiencotter. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. Always seeing you again.
Yeah.
This is the second time this month now.
It is.
We're talking wireless charging again with Cayenne. If you haven't watched it, Mike and I did a video with the debut of this at the IAA, but this time we actually get to show it working.
Exactly. And you're going to try it for yourself.
Right, so I'm going to drive the car on the pad. So let's show everyone this. This is the new E4 Cayenne in the flesh, and this is the same car that was at IAA, right?
Exactly.
So it has the cool light up paint and everything. This is the charging pad, and it's set up here in a typical garage setting, I guess, is the idea.
Yeah.
Typically it'd be hardwired. You just have it into a red 3-phase plug, but as long as it gets power, all good.
Yeah.
So the pad's going to be here. We've already gone through the technical components: 11 kilowatt wireless charging, 48 amp in the US, and I guess 16 amps in Europe.
And efficiency around 90%, which people had a lot of questions in your comments.
Yes.
Because if you connect it to a wall box, it's about 94. So
Right.
it's just a 4% gap in efficiency between inductive charging and a wall box. People can't believe it, but it's true.
Yeah, so I think we need to do a video at some point in the future where we take, put meters on the wall, do the wall box charging the car and this, and then show the difference.
Yeah, let's.
Because I think that if it's only really a 4% difference, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
We also just went into a presentation earlier about this, which was really cool, that it can work if you have the Cayenne in full suspension height. It's an extra 1% drop in efficiency they mentioned, but it's smart enough to auto lower. But it doesn't even go to the lowest suspension, just to standard.
No, it is in the lowest setting.
Oh, it is?
It's
Okay.
in the lowest setting. So the smaller the gap is, the higher the efficiency is. But it will still charge it to some degree.
Yeah.
But the closer the gap is, the more efficient it gets.
Okay, makes sense. But they mentioned the difference is very little. It should be good.
Not a lot.
So I guess we've already done the whole video. I'll leave it linked. We just have to show it working now. Can we show this?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the plate that's on the car and the charger, right?
Exactly. So this is water cooled. The ground plate is actually air cooled. And this is where the inductive charging takes place. And this is the DC converter.
And you had mentioned that, I don't think we talked about this before, but the standard that you guys are communicating between the pad and the vehicle side is sort of an open standard.
Exactly. It's not a Porsche standard. So if other OEMs would like to jump on the same technology and use the same standard, the systems would be compatible.
That's really cool. It's not. It's kind of like having a J1772 port or a NAX port or something where you can use different vehicles, different plates, and hopefully the communication will all work out. But it's still early days.
Yeah.
Let's go see this work. I've never wirelessly charged a car before.
Ooh.
So first time on the channel. Yeah,
Exciting.
Totally.
Let's try.
Yeah, let's give it a go. Okay, Mike, you joined me inside the new Cayenne. This is really cool in here, by the way. We can mention it because the interior embargoes at the same time. So this is the interior and it's sick.
Yeah.
This screen is amazing. Holy smokes. So we have inductives laden, which means inductive charging, I would imagine.
It does.
And so then inside the charging menu, there's connected floor plates, and it's Wi-Fi connected?
It's Wi-Fi connected. It's like your router at home. You connect it once, and then it will recognize you as soon as you get close enough. And then the two systems are connected, basically.
Okay, and so it'll know, okay, you're getting home. It'll pick up the signal from, I guess, a pretty far away distance. Wi-Fi goes pretty far.
Yeah, I think we're claiming 7.5 meters.
Okay, well, that's fine, like in the garage space.
When you get close enough.
Then, how do we simulate what a person would do pulling in? We just put it, let's say we're in drive.
Yeah.
We're pulling in. Do I need to pull up any extra menus?
It should work if we activate it here.
Oh, okay.
Working. So every time you see the green lines, it's working.
And this will actually activate automatically when you get closer to the ground pad module.
So when you're close to the ground pad module, the cameras will automatically come on, and you'll automatically have those additional green lines. And I mentioned there was an additional setting in the charging menu, which is under inductive charging, which is essentially just turning on the function.
Yeah, that's
default on. So you never have to go into here once it's all set up.
exactly.
Cool. Then you can pull up the quick camera button, which will automatically happen pulling in, and we just roll forwards. And
And
is
if
my
you get closer, you will see two circles. There's one circle. This is the car.
Okay, so we're going to line up this circle to hopefully another one. Oh, here we go. So I should go a little left.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
There's some
variance there.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So we're inching. We're in the region. Boom. Oh, and the lights flashed as well on the communication light.
And as soon as you put it in P, it will start. It will take 18 seconds.
So we hit start. So it's communicating, adjusting chassis height, and we have some pretty cool stuff here. So target charge reached at, I guess that's at the time it'll be reached.
So 18 seconds.
No way.
Start charging.
We are wirelessly charging. We didn't get out of the car.
Nope.
Didn't do anything.
Nope.
First time ever on this channel. Ramped right up to 11 kilowatts pretty quick.
As easy as it gets.
That's really easy.
So in theory, if you have inductive charging at home and you don't have a wall box and you only do AC charging, you might own and drive a Cayenne for multiple years without touching the charge ports.
That's a wild thing to think about. And I'm sure a lot of customers, that would be the use case.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I did not expect it to be that. I don't know what I was expecting. It doesn't feel like anything. There's no noises, nothing.
No.
But just the way that it all integrated was super smart. And I love how the lights are going.
Yeah.
This is going. Now the fans on the plate should kick on from time to time, right? Or is that only if it gets really hot?
It's temperature dependent.
So right now there's no noise as far as I can tell.
No.
Yeah.
I can also simulate a cat. If I go too close to the pad.
Oh yeah, let's see what happens when you trip it. So Mike's gonna, if you can show him over here.
I'll kick it with my foot.
Kicked under the car, it's already off.
That was the cat moment. Now the cat is gone. The cat left. What will happen then?
Your battery's being charged gradually. So I guess that has some wait period for it to clear, and now it's ramping back up.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is it didn't seem like it was a harsh disconnect and then had to go through recommunication. It just ramped power down.
Yep.
That's really nice. You're not like constantly
No, it's
cycling
ramping down and up.
contactors.
It's a very smooth process.
And we also just learned this communication on ISO 15118-20, which is the open standard, the newest version. So very similar to the DC charging handshake, just happening here for wireless charging. This was really cool. Thank you for showing us. I'm going to look on the outside of the car and just see what that looks like. Can't imagine we'll see anything.
A green light.
Pretty cool. How simple is that? That's actually awesome. I'm kind of impressed. Here we are. We've got the Cayenne on the charging pad now with a green light. And I guess it's blinking because it detected me, Mike, or is it normally blinking?
It's charging.
Okay. Charging. Got it. So
It's
that's
white when it's not charging.
So that's literally the connection. There is no connection.
No,
And it's just doing 11 kilowatts.
Yeah. If it's in standby, it's white, and it turns green as soon as it has the connection between the car and the plate.
That's actually kind of cool. So this is doing 11 kilowatt charging with the charge port doors closed. Now, if we try to open the charge port doors, they won't open.
They will open actually.
Oh, they will
We
open.
always prioritize AC charging, so if you plug in and start charging, we'll stop the wireless charging session.
Got it. So you can, even if you wanted to, whatever, if the pad was there and you're doing it, you can still open the charging port, or maybe the car is, yeah. And then it just prioritizes plugged connection. That makes sense. I think that's a pretty cool feature. Here we go. And then you could just either DC charge or AC charge. Although probably you're never going to find a DC charger in the same place that you'll have a pad.
Right.
Wouldn't make sense. Yeah. But always possible. Yeah, cool. That was awesome.
Still wrong. Normally you only have your one screw and then you can open it directly.
So that's the inside of the charger there.
Yes.
The pad. So Very cool. So walk us through exactly what we're seeing, because I don't know anything about wireless
That
charging.
was actually the service flat, and what you see is the power electronics. The coil area, the primary coil area is underneath here. You can't open that. But the only thing you have here is pretty much the fan. And sometimes, like, if the fan is going up and if there's like dust or leaves or anything, you'll have to vacuum it out. But that's pretty much it.
So it's as simple as that. And then to vacuum it out, you would just pull those screws?
I mean, actually, you can vacuum underneath here.
Oh, it would just be in this.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So that's really it. And
That's
then,
really all the maintenance you're required to do depending on the installation side.
okay, so it's literally one screw there, just kind of clean this area out once every couple of years or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And in terms of water resistance, we mentioned it's watertight as
It's
well.
completely watertight. Technically, it would also work underwater. If like your garage is flooded, technically it could work if the safety functions are still active.
Very cool. Yeah, this is a neat situation. If I had a Cayenne, I would put this in at my house just to play around with it. And honestly, it was so easy just to park and walk away.
Right.
I mean, it's also easy to plug in a car, but this is even another step easier. So very, very cool. Thanks for showing us this. So guys, we're about to head out to go for a rip in this top spec Cayenne turbo. Should be really freaking great. So let's take a look at the tire that we're on. We're on a Goodyear Eagle F1s. There should be an electric marking somewhere as well. And if we look at the size, it's going to be cold and rainy out there. 315 22s. Pretty cool. And up front, I really like this wheel design. I think it's kind of a cool mix of aero, very similar to Macan big wheel as well. Also, same tire up here, but a 275 40 22 up front. This is a right-hand drive car. So this is Timo. Timo's going to take us for a rip in this Cayenne turbo. Should be fun. A right-hand drive one.
Yeah.
I guess you got to test it for all markets.
Yes, sure. But normally I like more to sit on the left, not on the right.
Yeah.
But,
What is your responsibility?
I'm a tire tester.
Oh,
in Porsche.
amazing. So you're one of the fast guys then.
Hopefully.
Yeah. The tire tester is always the fast guys.
Or
So-
maybe they have a lot of feeling. That's also very
Yeah.
important. The tire testing. Yeah.
Of course.
And now we make 2.5 laps. Two and a half laps. Yes. And what we show you is the active ride of the car, and also the launch control. We make it now here on
great.
on this long straight. Very important. Please put the head on the seat.
Yeah, of course. We'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. So now.
And Timo, we want to see everything this thing can do.
Okay.
Timo's
I
going to
will-
let it rip.
Okay. You all ready?
Ready.
And go.
Wow. Good traction control as well.
Yeah. And
Very,
it's
very
wet
quick.
because in the drive we have more traction again.
Yes,
So,
of course.
Yeah.
So full off on stability control, as it
Yes.
should be. Very nice. Already sliding it. Proper driving. The sound is interesting.
Yeah.
So this is quite a dynamic car on the
sure,
throttle.
Absolutely. It's SUV,
Yeah.
but dynamic.
Really nice. Yep, through the chicane.
Oh, whoops, a lot.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All good. Amazing. Feels awesome from my perspective.
And also what you can see, we have not a lot of body movement from the chassis because we're in case of the active suspension what we have.
Yeah, I was going to say the response of the active ride is insane.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So quick. I love it. And it's the powertrain is nice. The rear motor is the big, stronger one, so it gets the rear out perfectly.
Yes,
Good ABS as well, it can
sure,
feel like.
absolutely. And also good grip of the tires, also in wet because
Yeah, that's your job.
wet condition. No. In this case, it's the job of my colleague.
Oh, okay, for wet performance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's good. You can drive also very quick in wet conditions.
Yeah, the whole car feels unbelievably sporty.
Yeah.
I mean, it stiffens up. I just had Macan H2 on track recently. This feels even more better set up for the track.
You know, development is going further and further. So also
Yeah.
with the new car.
Amazing. It's crazy. It's just so stiff with active
Yeah,
ride.
and you can go very easy, quick with the car. It's
And
good to control.
what's your impression of the brakes? Should you go for the ceramics?
They are good. You have a good feeling on the pedal,
Mm-hmm.
and also the performance is good. Just take care, okay?
Yep.
Whoop.
Yeah, and the battery temperature amazing
Yeah.
through here as well. It seems really good. With Macan, it overheats a little bit quicker, and so this should be even better than
Yeah,
that.
it's okay.
Yeah, feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't get over how stiff everything feels for
And
such
also
a
the
big
balance
car.
is neutral of the car, so it's really easy to control.
And so what is the tire recommendation for sporty driving that you think you should go with?
Sorry, please, can you repeat?
When you spec a Cayenne,
Yes.
when you want performance like we're doing here,
Yes.
what's the best tire that you'll
It-
offer?
It depends on the inch what you have in the car,
Yeah.
because you know rubber is a bit different to steel, because 90 degrees is 90 degrees angle on steel, but
Mm-hmm.
when you have a tire you have some difference between the manufacturer. But what we are looking for is that all the tires are very in the same range and very close together. So but maybe you have a tire who's maybe a bit better in the dry or is a bit better in the wet, but not a big difference. But
So
what you
you
never
could-
have in tire is that all the tires have exactly the same performance on dry and wet, because rubber is different to steel.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's always a compromise.
Yeah, it's always a compromise, but our job is to look that we are very close with the manufacturer together on on dry handling, on wet handling, on comfort. So
Yeah.
so that we have just slightly difference between this.
It's always so impressive to me to see first of all, you can see how flat the Cayenne is going through there. Pretty amazing. First of all, the fitment of your tires are always perfect. And
Yes,
especially
thank you,
from
thank
like
you.
E3 when you really went to that chunky sidewall,
Yes.
it looks amazing from
Yes.
visual.
But for me, the only thing was important is that it works on the track.
Exactly.
So that's the important point.
And so that was my second point, was when I drive a Porsche spec tire, it's so different from the standard tire.
Yeah, because we invest a lot of money for the tires and the development. So that's why I think we have a good performance also on the tires, because
Yeah.
we invest a lot of money and time and development.
So
Bring
always
the-
get the
yeah.
Porsche spec tire is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right, yeah.
I think it's impressive. The whole car felt great from my perspective. Extremely sporty.
Yes.
Extremely sporty. Totally different character than any other electric SUV that I've been in. And some of them are really fast and can put up some lap times, but this feels like a total system that is so impressive to me. So really nice work to the team, and nice work to you on the tires, especially in the wet. That is a rough condition for a tire to do
That's
the
really,
work.
that's with 9 degrees on,
Yeah, it's
on a
crazy.
summer tire, and we have really a good level of grip in the wet, so that's good.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you, Timo, for the ride. This was really awesome. And I guess that's the end of the taxi session. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Guys, you join Robot Kyle. This is the Apple Vision Pro system. Kind of my first time really using it, but we have a sick opportunity where Porsche has essentially modeled their electric Cayenne here for us to play around with in the virtual world. And we also have this really cool iPad that is connected with this system. So you're able to have this interactive display with me, which is really cool. Now, I sat through a presentation from some of the engineers that worked on all of this, and we've actually stuck around a little bit later in the day so that I'm able to present this to you. Would have been really cool to film their presentations, but I'll do my best to try and give you the highlight of everything we're working on and talking about here. So this, of course, is the PPE platform like we've discussed, but it's a larger version than Macan. And so the code name, of course, E4, Macan was H2, and we're going to be going through the high voltage components in this segment of the video. So I guess the first thing we can discuss is over here on this side, which is the high power charging port, which is on the rear driver side, which is a great location because that's the typical native Tesla supercharger location. So I think a lot of people will be happy with this. I should also mention that this side for the US market cars will only be for DC charging. Now, this is my only complaint really with the E4 Cayenne, specifically for the US market, that the NACS port is DC only at launch. And I think this is kind of going to be fine for people that understand what a destination charger is versus a supercharger. But however, the US cars will only be able to AC charge either through a wireless charging solution that we'll talk about later in the video, or through the right side, the passenger side charging port. Now the charging power is going to be 48 amps for AC charging, and so that's really good. You'll get about 11 kilowatt charging. That's up from Macan, which is only 40 amps. And then the DC charging power through the NAX port is going to be insane. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to show you some charging curves, but we're talking 400 plus kilowatt charging and a fat curve. You guys know it's not just about the peak, it's about the area under the curve, and this is going to be insane. This car also does support 400 volt charging, for example, native charging on Tesla superchargers at 200 kilowatts, and I've got a slide to show you that as well. So I think it's going to look a little weird, but I can pull up the next slide for you guys if I'm using this thing correctly, which I'm not. Let me pop over to this little hidden panel that I've placed here and advance it. So here we go. Now you can see some cool stats flying across the top. Of course, it's an 800 volt system architecture. We could do the math to figure out exactly what the nominal voltage is, and I'm sure we'll find out in no time. So 800 volt system architecture, you're gonna notice the 600 kilowatt number coming across. That is the amount of regen you can throw into this. Huge amounts of regen from the 2 permanent magnet electric motors in this vehicle, and so you can really charge up under hard braking events with some serious power. Yes, you can regen through ABS, including emergency braking, which is a really cool feature that Porsche spent a lot of time tuning in this one. The charging power I mentioned already to you is 400 kilowatts, which is a really juicy system for charging. Now, just to walk you through what we're looking at here, up front we have a front permanent magnet secondary motor, and that's what's down in here, if I can point at that. Then we have all of the thermal systems exploded, and we're going to talk a lot about the thermals, the battery cooling strategy. We have some insane slides to show you. This is such a cool way to present a car. You have your main battery pack, although it's hard to call it a pack because it's technically just 6 modules with no battery pack enclosure. So it's a totally different concept than anything we've seen from Porsche or even other automakers, really, where it's sort of module to vehicle rather than a whole pack going in. It's a super interesting idea with the crash structure along the side as well. Here you have sort of your PEM or your power electronics box. They have a specific name for it, I can't remember, but this is what houses a lot of the power electronics in there. Then on the rear axle, you have your main primary electric motor. This, what's visualized here is the turbo, is the top model. It has a separate motor than the standard one with direct oil cooling to the windings. The standard motor only gets the water jacket cooling. By the way, the front motor in all Cayenne variants are only water jacket cooling. And I should also mention, while we're on the topic, silicon carbide inverters in both the base car and the turbo on the rear axle. However, you only get silicon inverters on the front secondary axle on the base car. On the turbo, then you get dual silicon carbide inverters. I actually don't think it's that big of a deal because the front motor is going to be used such a small percentage of the time that going with just a standard IGBT switching on the inverter here means very little losses because that motor is going to be not really in use. It is interesting, dual permanent magnet, no clutch disconnect. We'll get into all that stuff later on. Let's advance the slides. I'm going to walk back over to this panel and try to use my pointing situation. Calvin, could you try to advance it? Oh, here we go. Great. Now I've got this cool little slider to do an explosion of the battery pack. Watch this. How freaking crazy is that? Can we just do a whole video on this system? This is maybe the coolest vehicle presentation I've ever had the opportunity to bring you guys. So before we explode this thing out, I'm going to stop it right about there just to show you what we have coming out of here. You have your main spine, which probably houses some high voltage cabling and BMS related topics. This I already mentioned to you is going to be your power electronics up in here. And then you can see the individual modules, of which there are 6. In terms of cooling, they are top and bottom plate cooled, and essentially should mean you have very little gradient temperatures. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice this weird little pattern that's inside of this black plastic here, and there's a reason why it's different on this side versus the other side. We'll get to that in a second. If you come on over here, I can show you what it looks like when I actually pull the cells out. And these are using, I believe, LG pouch cells. And it's a totally new generation cell, not seen in another Porsche model. So this is not the same cell that's in J12 Taycan. And you can see there's 8 cells per module, I guess half a module. And then you basically line that up through the whole battery, and that's how many cells that you have wired together in series. So really cool presentation, first of all, but a really cool layout of going with this module situation rather than going with modules to pack, pack to vehicle. It's module to vehicle. And comment below if you know of another vehicle that does this type of construction. At least my first time today seeing this is really cool. So let's see if I can advance. There we go. To the next slide. Oh, maybe I've already hit that. Here we go. Boom. What do we have now? We've got some cool stuff to show you. So we have in the Cayenne, of course, you can see the volume of the battery has decreased, but the usable capacity has increased versus the J1PA, which is J12 Taycan. So this is the current generation Taycan, and this is the new Cayenne. So you can see the cell has really improved. Now what you're seeing here are a lot of different factors that go into the thermal management of the Cayenne. And this is gonna be something we have to play around with, especially in harsh weather conditions as this car hits the market and as we road trip it and do a bunch of stuff with it. Essentially, it's going to factor in road conditions, weather, wind, what type of charger that you're navigating to, and what type of charging range you're going to be in. What I mean by that is, are you going to arrive from the charging station to the charging station at 0% and charge to 100, or are you going to get there at 30% and charge to 60%? Because each one of those determines what type of arrival state of charge that you want to get to. And how does it actually do the thermal management? Well, that's all mostly done up here from the HVAC system, which is a non-heat pump system, surprisingly. It uses a typical AC chiller with also a separate resistive heater, but through a series of valves and switches can do heat scavenging. And so it can take, battery pack heat to the motors, to the cabin, and move it around. And in general, we've always found Porsches to be extremely efficient in harsh conditions. So the fact that this doesn't have a heat pump was a little bit surprising to me, but we know those guys really have some crazy efficiency targets, so we'll have to see how it performs in the winter time. Could be kind of interesting. It does look like a lot of hoses and a mess of stuff going on up here. To be honest, I'm not an expert, but I also think this is fairly typical from what we've seen in most electric cars. Some big heat exchangers up front as well, and I'll show you kind of the loop of how that works as we go. You'll see cooling lines run down the central part of the battery pack over to the rear motor as well. And so basically that's the entire layout of the cooling system, but it does go more in depth. So forgive me as I'm looking at this chart for the first time as well. Let's move to the next slide. There we go. And now you can see drivetrain cooling. Well, this is about what we care about on this channel, isn't it? When we talk about performance driving especially, we'll be doing more of that at the new track. And with long distance driving, driving fast, charging over and over can put a ton of stress on the entire system. And here you can kind of see the loop of how it's all laid out. You can see the hot air is exchanged out of here, which then cools itself into cool air and then comes back into the system. Same thing with the motor back here. You have the cool water that comes back to the motor, goes through heat exchangers, and then it comes back up to the front to then dispel of that heat. So pretty simple concept, but just really cool to see it laid out in this type of situation. Let's go to the next one, if my eyes will work. The problem is with this system, guys, is it really requires a precise eye movement. And if you watch any of my videos, especially when I'm filming at night, you know my eyes don't work. I think Calvin got it for us. Thank you. This is the coolest slide of them all. This is how the battery pack thermal management works. And I thought this was so dumb until I learned the explanation, and it might be the coolest thing I've ever seen. So we've already gone through how the motor gets its cooling through the heat exchanger situation. Same thing here. You have, hot air exchanged for cold air. The cold water comes in and it cools on the top and bottom plate of each of these modules. Now you'll notice that all of the coolant flows from the passenger side to the driver's side, assuming a left-hand drive vehicle, of course. If you're in the UK, reverse that. But essentially from the right side of the vehicle to the left side of the vehicle, you have cold water that goes into each of these modules and then will heat up, of course, as it pulls the heat away. Now, this would be reversed in the wintertime. If you're heating up the battery, the hot air would come in on, or hot water would come in on this side, glycol, and then, of course, it would be colder over there. How is this possible? Because my initial reaction to seeing this was, this is going to have the most amount of gradient temperature possible, and it's going to be insane. But no, if you actually look at the routing of the coolant here, you'll see it's got a fairly short distance to travel over here, which means you can have colder coolant, assuming we're cooling the battery, colder coolant for less of time or less distance that it has to travel, which then slowly warms up, and then you'll see a totally different pattern here, which means you'll have a little bit less cool coolant, but it gets more time to actually chill on this side. Now, we have to see how this works in practice, how the car handles repeated driving and charging events. But it's just such an interesting idea where they changed the routing on this side of the battery, and some of the engineers said it's no problem. This is one of the most uniform battery packs when it comes to temperature management. And they were like, you can rip on it all you want. You can charge it all you want. This thing is super robust. So those are big claims, and we'll certainly be putting it to the test. But I think it's an interesting idea to go with this. Of course, on the underside, it's basically a mirror image of this as well. So a really interesting thermal situation where you have a quick hit of cold versus a longer hit of medium temperature on the other side. Really cool, never seen anything like it, and let's just hope it works well in the real world. I'll tell you later on in this video, we're gonna go out on track in this thing, and you will see that yeah, no issues with the battery temperature rise, even ripping around track. Let's see what else we have here. We have a display of, oh yeah, here we have Porsche basically discussing the cold temperature performance of this battery. The cell has been optimized to perform at over 1,000 amps of discharge capacity, which is a ton, but also a much wider range of performance in cold and hot weather, especially cold weather. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to see how well this vehicle charges without preconditioning. We mentioned that the vehicle can precondition, but we also know a lot of EV owners sometimes just pop into charge at random times or use Apple Maps or non-native navigation, and this should be able to support a huge range of temperatures. Let's continue through and boogie through this presentation. This is discussing that you can have up to 600 kilowatt regen. I discussed on that earlier. Very cool to see that. And now we get charging curves. How sick is this? A presentation built for out of spec right here. Porsche claims 10 to 80% on a 108 kilowatt hour usable battery, again 113 gross, in less than 16 minutes. That means 15 and a bit minutes from 10 to 80%. And you can see here it's holding 400 kilowatts to around 55% state of charge or so. What's interesting is even from zero, this vehicle will pull 500 amps straight from the charger, which is great because Macan goes through this really weird kind of soft period at the beginning of the charging session, super low. And so you're actually incentivized in Macan to get to a DC charging station at around 7% state of charge. This is much more similar to Taycan, which is just ripping from the beginning, which is really great. And this chart doesn't show the full 0 to 100. We'll, of course, have that coming to you at some point in the future. I've also got a little slider to show it filling up. How about that? That's pretty cool. So when you get to around 55% state of charge, it actually starts to slow down. But this is because the cells have hit thermal limits in this particular example. If you plugged in at 20%, it might actually hold higher power even longer. But again, this is showing 10 to 80% charge in less than 15 minutes. So this is more of a boost charging, but even if you plugged in at 40%, this is what we'll have to play around with in the real world. The engineers tell me it can hold over 400 kilowatts to maybe even in this 60% state of charge range, which is just an insane monster curve. So it's not like you have to run it out to zero every time. In fact, with the pack voltage rising, you might be incentivized to plug in a little bit higher. It just seems that no matter where you plug this car in or what your starting and ending state of charge is, it's going to be an absolute monster. And if you compare this with, for example, Lucid Gravity that charges at 400 kilowatts, we've done a video showing that charging curve. Yes, they both hit 400 kilowatts. The Lucid comes off 400 kilowatts somewhere down in this range. Look at the Porsche holding it deep into the charging curve. Absolutely amazing. Love this. We can end the video now. It's going to be the ultimate road tripper. So sick. Let's continue. What do we have now? Oh, this is super important for our market in the US. This is discussing 400 volt charging. And so essentially, rather than using the rear motor and stator and inverter to boost the voltage, Porsche did what Tesla does with the Cybertruck and what GM does, but they do it the opposite way to raise the voltage. They essentially split the battery pack into two bricks wired together in parallel rather than in series. So you can basically have the entire voltage of the battery pack. This will mean that you'll have around a 400 volt nominal system architecture, and it still does pull 500 amps through the NAX port, so you'll get 200 kilowatts from a supercharger. I'm really pleased with this solution when compared to Taycan, which is 150 kilowatts with the optional upgraded booster, I think standard on J12, and with Macan only doing 135 kilowatts. Macan only pulls 400 amps. This should be slightly higher voltage and pulling another 100 amps up to 500. It really will be super usable on a supercharger, and that is key. And it is the perfect combination because Tesla superchargers will only give 500 amps to non-Tesla vehicles, and you're at the maximum voltage that they support here with this architecture. So you're really giving up nothing when you go to a supercharger, yet when you go to an Ionna station, Mercedes charger, Electrify America, et cetera, you'll be able to then get the maximum high power charging performance in high voltage mode. So no matter what you plug the Cayenne into, it's almost no compromise. I think it's really awesome. I can't wait to go on a road trip in this thing. It's going to be a monster no matter what network you use. We're going to get into the inductive charging later on in this video, but this can kind of show you where the car plate is installed down here, and I've got a whole segment coming on how this all works. Also a whole video on out-of-spec bits digging into it. So we're just going to breeze through this section. Unfortunately, guys, my footage was lost for the rest of the VR portion, so you'll just have to deal with this voiceover from now on. But we'll get the same point in, still the same cool graphics, just without me in there. Maybe even a better thing. Anyway, you can see the top speed is greater than 250 kph, 0 to 100 kph in less than 3 seconds, so it's absolutely going to rip. And what you see pictured here is the top model, which means it has the big motor in the rear with the direct oil cooling going to it. This is an exploded view of that rear motor. Here's where you can see the oil pump, the stator, the heat exchanger for the coolant to cool down the oil that's inside of the actual motor. I can leave a link to some information later on that goes through the specific oil that they're using, but it is lifetime oil change or oil service for the vehicle, which is great. We've already discussed some of these points because it's a little bit out of order, but 600 kilowatt regen is just spicy. It's really awesome. Of course, it will only happen at low state of charge. I should also mention no one pedal driving on the new Cayenne. It is just similar to other Porsches. Auto, on or off, and on is pretty limited. This is discussing Porsche's traction management, where they have a limited slip differential, but it's more like torque vectoring in the rear axle of the vehicle. It's super awesome to have that quick response, but also mechanical multiplication of torque vectoring happening on the rear axle. The front axle uses the brakes to do cross-car torque vectoring. Continuing on to Porsche Active Ride, now here's where you can see they have that insane suspension system. We were on track earlier. You can see how it stiffens up the car, but what this also does is it completely removes the need for having sway bars in the vehicle. So you essentially have a few hydraulic motors that are controlling the compression and rebound oil forces into the damper itself. You're using a single chamber air suspension with the active ride to sort of control the weight of the car and the ride height, but then the active ride is responsible for doing everything else. It's a very, very similar system that's used in Panamera plug-in hybrid and also Taycan. It's probably going to be an optional extra as it is on those cars. It probably won't be cheap, but it is transformative to the daily driving experience, just completely eliminating head toss in the vehicle, making it extremely compliant, but then extremely sporty when you start ripping on it. And of course, pretty good in this off-road tuned application as well. Cannot say enough good things about Active Ride. If you can afford it, spec it. If you're into cars, you probably are because you're watching this video. It's life-changing, I think. Here we come to the steering systems of the vehicle. This is discussing the rear steer, where the rear steers will turn out of phase up to 60 kilometers per hour, or excuse me, 60 miles per hour, 100 kilometers per hour. That's a very high speed to go with the turning force in the rear. It's just a few degrees of rear steering, 3 to 4 degrees, somewhere around there. Nothing major, but it should help. And then at high speed, they'll actually turn in phase to shorten up the lane change, basically to increase the stability of the vehicle during a high speed lane change, which is great. Well, guys, there's a little more I would have liked to get into in the footage that was lost, unfortunately, but I'll give you the gist of things and then sort of my summary of thoughts on the new electric Cayenne. In terms of power figures, we're talking 800 kilowatts of power, like I mentioned early on in the video. That's during a launch control situation. That's the only way to get the 1000 PS, at least that we think, because they say over 1000 PS. We don't know the actual power figure, but the only way to get maximum power is during launch control, 800 kilowatts. If you're driving and just mat the accelerator pedal, you get 600 kilowatts, a massive step down in performance from wide open throttle. There is a push to pass button like we've seen on Taycan Turbo. This is only for Cayenne Turbo, I believe, for the top spec. That will give you 100 kilowatts more, so you get 700 kilowatts. So driving normally, 600 kilowatt power output, hit the push to pass, 700 kilowatt power output, do a launch control, 800. This annoys me because if you're spending that much money on a car, again, we don't know pricing. Wide open throttle means one thing. It means give me everything you got right now. I don't care about launch control, push to pass, blah, blah, blah. Just give me everything you have. To me, I don't understand how that implementation has become part of the Porsche DNA. It feels wrong. As an EV driver, I really don't like it. If you look at Lucid Sapphire, Tesla Plaid, or even Model X Plaid, for example, wide open throttle is everything the car can do given the current conditions, and that's what I would prefer. Some other points just on the interior. The screen, I've noticed, because this video is going up a couple days later than it should have, has developed a ton of controversy online. And I am fully aware and fully supportive that everyone should have their own opinion of the interior of the Cayenne. And a lot of people hate it. And I can see a lot of people hate it on the Tesla side, which are like, our viewers that are used to having big screens in cars. And they're like, wow, this curved thing's really weird and it all seems discombobulated. And then of course you have sort of the traditional car guys that are like, screens aren't premium. I want hardcore buttons in the car and whatever. My personal opinion is I thought they did a really good job. Really love it, actually. I loved the curved display. I've spent quite a bit of time with it and just playing around with the menus. And I thought it worked really well. And I loved the layout and I loved the feeling in the hand. Looking at photos and videos online, it looks terrible. It looks really bad watching it back. But in person, I guess I don't really care what you think about it, but my opinion is loved it. It's actually one of the highlights for me about the new Cayenne is the whole operating system and the screen layout. Really like it. Of course, you can put CarPlay, Android Auto, all that stuff on there as well. We didn't really get into that in this video, but of course, when the car comes out, we'll dig more into the infotainment system. Some takeaways really about this vehicle for me in the segment is this is the new ultimate road tripper. It's probably going to be a faster road tripper than Taycan. If you guys know, we recently set the New York to LA cannonball record in Taycan again. It's just an insanely consistent road tripper. This takes it to a new level. Yes, it's going to be less efficient than Taycan because it's just a bigger vehicle, but the charging performance is radical. It is totally wild. And while yes, there are other vehicles on the market that can hit 400 kilowatts, Lucid Gravity, Tesla Cybertruck now can do 500 kilowatts. Both of those vehicles hold their peak power for much less time than the Cayenne does. The Lucid Gravity holds 400 kilowatts and high power for a pretty long time, but at 50%, Lucid Gravity is doing somewhere around 250 kilowatt charging. The Cayenne is doing 400 kilowatt charging, still at 50% with some headroom to go. Look, both cars can be updated and improved over time. The Lucid Gravity versus Cayenne road trip race is going to happen. I don't know what the efficiency of both cars are running in side-by-side conditions. I'm sure the Gravity's going to be more efficient. It just feels that way, but time will tell. We'll have to see how well Porsche did from an efficiency standpoint. And it's just really cool. The other thing to keep in mind is Gravity's a 3-row SUV. This is only 2-row. Gravity really competes with the Porsche K1 that's going to come out into the future, but that's not going to be electric anymore. So it's all getting pretty interesting out there, but the new Cayenne, to me, holy smokes. I went to this presentation. I spent a day with all of the engineers, and I am left completely impressed with the vehicle because not only can it do a couple things really well, not only can it charge really well, not only can it handle really well with active ride, it's got the total package. And yeah, you'll probably have to option it up and spec it up to get everything you want. And yeah, price is always the downside with Porsche, but that's a Porsche. They are expensive. And I just think it's kind of the one car solution. It's going to be really interesting for me to put this up against some other highlights in the EV industry. Lucid Gravity comes to mind in every conversation. It's what I've been talking to my friends about, and that requires a full detailed comparison test, even though the Gravity is a much bigger vehicle on the inside. So much more to get into with this, but I have to say I'm totally left impressed with Cayenne. The two major issues: no dog mode. Totally crazy. I can't imagine launching a car in 2025 without a way to keep climate on, monitor it from your phone, and watch the interior cameras also from your device. Dog mode, pet comfort, whatever you want to call it, it's a mandatory feature, at least for me. That seems crazy that that's not in there. And also the NACS port being DC charging only, at least at launch. I don't know what that means, but I would imagine not forever. That's what they told me. Don't know when it'll get updated. Probably not worth waiting for it because you have an AC charging port on the other side, but some cool speculation there. NACS port being DC only, I think, sets customers up for failure. And they're going to roll up to a Tesla wall connector, plug in, and it's going to go, oh, can't do that. Mercedes CLA, same problem. New Nissan Leaf, same problem. It actually makes the customer experience worse switching to NACS, in my opinion. With all that said, that's the new E4 Porsche Cayenne. Sorry for a convoluted video and for it being a couple days late from the embargo, but hopefully you learned something about it. I learned a ton, and I'm left deeply impressed with this vehicle. I cannot wait to drive it, cannot wait to road trip it, and to do all of the testing for you guys with it. It seems like a great package, I'm sure at a very high cost. Thanks for watching. See you in another one again soon. Bye-bye.